why do you like continue to work out? Like when you're working out, do you have a goal of physical fitness, some performance marker? Is it because of the way you look? Is it your mental health? Like what is the thing that drives you into the gym day in and day out, even when you are going through your alcoholism or you're having a relapse? Like I know you're in here doing those things.
Yeah.
So what is it that what are your goals and your sense of purpose for that execution?
I think that's a really good question, by the way. What motivated me to keep exercising to a high degree while I was in active addiction, that's a question I've kicked around a while. I think in general, growing up in athletics and getting a lot of positive reinforcement growing up in athletics probably planted the seed as to why I have like a natural affinity for it. I will also say, before I go into something that I imagine is a little more meaningful, that I grew up idolizing Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, etc. Maybe even Chuck Norris to a degree.
Muscles from Brussels.
That's what I'm saying. I grew up heavily influenced by that sort of pop culture, that sort of media. Men who were muscular and strong and tough were revered. They just were. And they were idolized and they were respected. And I ingested that messaging very, very deeply. I remember as a kid seeing an infomercial. Do you remember this, Chris? John Bastow, six-pack abs?
Oh, Bastow.
Yes.
Yeah, I had that stuff.
I asked my parents when I was a kid, can you order me the tapes?
God,
and they did.
Great.
And so a VHS tape set came for John Bastow, and I did his like six-pack abs, and I did the whole routine, and I started exploring, learning how to use my body, and I felt in control. I felt very proud of myself, and I loved the positive reinforcement that was available to anyone who could or would commit themselves to a physical practice. I also think, as far as giving me a sense of identity, I established early that you didn't have to explain as much about yourself if you looked a certain way. That's how I ingested it when I was a kid. Like, people that were in really good shape, they kind of tend to get a pass in a lot of ways. There's not a lot of red flags that come up for people when you meet someone who's in really good shape, per se.
I'm gonna put my hand in here because you were so right about that I wasn't prepared for it. As someone who was completely overweight, felt like shit, you reflect that, and people see that, right? And it blew my mind how differently people started treating me when not only A, did I feel like I looked good, but B, suddenly other people are noticing that I look good. And I got treated in ways that confused me. I'm like, why did that person just talk to me in such a positive way for no reason? And you're right, that's the past. Like, this world's made for beautiful people. Like, we are wired, fortunately or unfortunately, for that piece. So I completely understand, and I get it. I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And I don't think that's even inherently all bad, but I certainly don't think it's inherently all good. It's one of those things that it just depends, for me, on my frame of mind, on what's really going on, and if I'm able to keep in check the other aspects of life that are wildly important for a balanced self, experience. So as a kid, I think that's what laid the foundation. It also can be attractive for the opposite sex and all of that stuff. Now, but I think it's evolved and it's morphed. That was my teenage years. I was fairly muscular even as a teenager. There's pictures of me as a little kid flexing. I've always been drawn to it. It was adorable. Now, I got depressed in my 20s. When I moved out of the house and I stopped doing group exercise, formal athletics, stopped going to the gym. Every part of my teenage years were either sports or going to the gym, lifting weights with my brothers. After high school, I had a bit of an identity crisis. I was going through some depression that I didn't know was depression. I was binge drinking like crazy. I gained 45 pounds my freshman year. 45 pounds in 6 months.
College freshman.
Graduated high school, 185. By January of my freshman year at Portland State, I gained 45 pounds of fat.
Wow.
Stopped working out, I gained weight. And beyond that, I started struggling with depression and mental health issues. Fast forward to when I had my mental breakdown, I was in a treatment-resistant depression for over a year. And I say treatment-resistant because they were trying me on every psych med. I'm using that term every rather loosely, but many psych meds, many antidepressants, MAO inhibitors, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers. They were trying to figure out why my brain shut down. And what I didn't know was that my testosterone had crashed completely as well. So I became basically just bones and fat. I couldn't get an erection, had erectile dysfunction. I was suicidally depressed. And to get back to your question, because I was trying to think about this and process it, I couldn't exercise. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't use my body anymore. I was paralyzed physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I think that the moment they identified that I had, among other things, untreated alcoholism, but low testosterone, the moment they realized via blood draw that I didn't have any testosterone and they fixed that, all I wanted to do was to be able to use my body again. I would do anything to be able to use my body again. And so I did. And I also knew that I could anchor it to get better from my depression and my anxiety. And it gave me a sense of identity again. And having it taken away, per se, with the mood disorder, to having the opportunity to express myself physically again, it meant everything to me. It meant the absolute world to me. Now, where that has evolved over the last 10 years, that was 10 years ago, is that I've gone on side quests of working out exclusively for my mental health. And then another side quest to work out to look really good for people to positively reinforce me. And then in between phases where I probably was pretty well balanced, and I think where it got to in my addiction in a negative way, and I'll round trip it to where I think it is now, which is getting increasingly more positive, I wanted to look as good as possible so that people would think I was okay, so that they wouldn't go questioning whether or not I was struggling. So when I was actively drinking 6-7 nights a week, 12 to 14 drinks a night, I was...
That's a good amount.
It's a wild amount for 2 hours, but I would fast all day, I would binge drink for 2 hours, and then I would have a little meal, and then I would train my ass off the next day and do whatever I could to aesthetically look good. And I felt like an imposter, and I felt like a fraud, and I felt like, as someone who owns a gym and who leads fitness classes, I was living a double life. It was destructive for my self-esteem, destructive for my body image, destructive for everything. Thankfully, and this has always lived in me too, and I'll finish the question here, being sober, I for sure am not working out to save face anymore. I don't think I was only working out to save face. I also have love for the game. I love CrossFit. I love weight training. There's a very nice, inherently natural, beautiful relationship I have with fitness too. I'm just talking about like the outskirts that got dark there. But now I want to respect the body I have, in the sense that I get one life to train, one life to develop these skills, one life to experience my body, period. The chance to escape from active addiction means that I can really see what this body that I'm borrowing can do. I would love to experience that just to say I did. I would love to be an encouraging, consistent factor in other people's lives, to go ahead and experience their body, not just for what it will look like, which can lead to better self-esteem, but also for what it can mean for their mental health, for their energy, for their for others and things like that. And then in some vanity, I absolutely enjoy being able to realize my childhood dream to whatever degree that I can, of looking as strong and as aesthetic as I possibly can, so long as I don't anchor my sense of self in it, so long as I don't think it makes me better or worse than anyone, so long as it doesn't mean that I'm okay because. As long as that's all in check and I'm keeping my priorities straight, I think that's what draws me to this. Also, having experienced like abject black tar depression and understanding how meaningful this can be for keeping me mentally okay, and being still very afraid of what clinical depression feels like, and you know that way better than most. You know, it's medicine, and I want to be careful.
And the one of the amazing things, you know, for me, is all of those things that have happened in my life, I would never give back, because it's given me such a great ability to see somebody hurting and know, like, oof, man, like I can see the pain right now. And I also know that, like, I can't do much about it, but I can definitely do something to not make it worse.
Ooh.
And
I like
that's why, that's why sometimes I call you out or send you a text message, because I could see it in your body. And I could see the conflict. I don't know what the conflict is. I just know that there's conflict. And it's in those tiny moments of just saying something or doing something positive is a big, it helps a lot. And it sounds like you've learned how to say positive things back to yourself again.
Oh yeah.
Which is like awesome, because that's really important.
Yeah, it is really important. And absolutely. I treat me as nice as I possibly can, and I'd like that to extend to my fitness, to my diet, to my relationships. It's very important for me to be teachable and to lead from the front and here. On a side note, just as someone who owns a gym and runs classes, I want to walk the walk. I want to talk the talk, but walk the walk. And I also want to be like a safe expression of showing people that are afraid to use their body that they can, and it can be beautiful, and it can be a lot more than they think.
It's so easy for anybody walking in off the streets to see, like, oh, guy owns a gym. Like, he just loves working out and he's just working out all the time. But if they really thought about, like, how hard is it to run a gym and to see someone who comes in, and like at first I imagine, and we'll get to this, don't answer this now, but in my head, the discussion that I would love to have on this is like, how, if every day I came into the gym and I ran this organization and I had people coming in and you saw them struggling with weight, all of the things that you could be infinitely familiar with, and you could literally write on a 3x5 card, this is it. This is all you have to do is these 4 things. And you're gonna look just like this. And you're gonna feel amazing. And they're gonna take that card and go out that door and never come back.
All of the stuff I have around me keeps me endlessly inspired to continue forward. Who I was 10 years ago with my experience with food and nutrition has evolved so much. If you look at pictures of me and attitudes I had from then to now, I had to go through everything I went through to get to where I was. So one of the things that I'm grateful hasn't happened is no one has deprived me of my lessons, right? No one has deprived me of my lessons. But what I found is so long as I stay on, whatever the train is, as long as I stay on, you eventually kind of just evolve, and I'm still speaking mostly on my physical experience, you kind of evolve to like your ultimate self, as long as you don't quit. There's no telling how many steps back you'll need before you take the ultimate step forward, because me 10 years ago could never have dreamed of being as athletic as I am now, and from the eye test as aesthetically in check as I am right now. And it was a very long, windy road to get there. It wasn't linear. So and
it'll go up and down.
It'll continue to go up and down, but I respect my journey, and I know that I know it's not easy, and I just want to respect. I just want to respect it all, I guess. And I love it. I think it's fun.
And
I don't know if I've said that yet.
No one can take the power of choice from you.
Absolutely.
Right? So just keep making good choices. Dude. It's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for asking.